Hi everyone, this is Snooks. Do you know what's stopping most couples from having a great or phenomenal marriage? It's settling for one that's good or just okay.
That's why we're inviting you to go to marriedintocrazy.com to watch our free webinar and then register for our marriage communication workshop at the end of the month. It's a free workshop that'll give you valuable tools to understand and communicate on a whole other level with your spouse or loved one.
So register today and let us be an ally for your marriage. The link will be in the show notes. Now let's get ready for the podcast.
There is genius in your relationship. There's genius in your marriage. And what you're going to find is that those marriages, those relationships that endure are those that find a level of genius in the respect that they did what was right for them.
Okay, so I'm going to challenge you on that.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engines.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point, you realized you were married into crazy.
And that's what our podcast is all about. We offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as we unpack this crazy thing called marriage.
So sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
All right, let's go.
Welcome to episode 118 of the Married Into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. I'm Lovey.
I'm Snooks.
Why do you always laugh at me in the
Because
beginning?
you're so silly.
Well, I got to get you to laugh, something lighten the mood. Hey,
What?
so we're in the second week of December with this particular episode, and what we want to do is remind everybody, just quick, coming out the gates, that 2020 is coming to a close, y'all.
Can you believe that?
I know. After everything, it feels like 2020. It's been 2020 for 5 years straight.
Man, no, it seems like to me it went by like quick. I feel like I remember when, the whole COVID thing started, and it's like, I
Look.
just feel like it just happened, and then we are shut down, and then
There's parts of it that I feel like went by quick,
Mhm.
and there's other parts that make you feel like I'm in. Well, as a matter of fact, I feel like I'm in Groundhog Day right now. It's like it's happening all over again.
the shutdown and
The shutdown,
everything.
all that. But before we go there, just want to remind everybody that because this is the end of the year, you have one more opportunity this year to participate in the Married Into Crazy Communication Workshop.
Mhm.
So the workshop is going to be on December 26th. It's a Christmas gift to you, the day after Christmas on
Day
Boxing Day.
after.
So what we're going to do is have our regular class. It's a workshop where we're going to actually talk about what it means to be crazy, but then also give you some tools to have better communication to work on that. So that way we can go from an area that may need improvement to an area that's going to be phenomenal or great or what have you. It's all about getting to that next level. And that's what we want to do for you.
Mhm.
And again, it's free. This is a $450 value that we're giving away for free until further notice. So I want to remind everybody about that. What you can do is follow the instructions that were in the commercial when we first started off. But then also you can always go to marriedintocrazy.com and register there, just
Mhm.
like it said in the preamble. Or just keep coming back. Hey, we look forward to having you, and it's live with us. So there's that. And then what?
No, you said it's live with us, and I remember that commercial, Live or Memorex.
Oh,
Do you remember? I don't know why that
Okay, that's
crossed my
old.
mind. I know, I don't know why it crossed my mind, but anyway, go ahead.
So there's that. And then also I mentioned Groundhog Day. We live in California. And so here we are yet again in what do they call it? Stay at home. Stay at home orders this morning are in effect for our particular area.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are some counties that are doing the stay at home or that have been mandated to do the stay at home. And then there are a couple of Bay Area counties that, even though they're not quite at that 15%, they elected to pass some, the counties elected to pass some stay at home,
Measures, right? No, I hear you. And it's interesting. So here, I know it's different for everyone across the United States and even the world for that matter. I know we're in 37 different countries now that people listen to the Married Into Crazy podcast, and we love all of you. I wish I could say it in each of your languages, but then that would make me smarter than I really am. And so what I wanted to do was just point out that it's funky because right here in the San Joaquin Valley where we live, we're locked down. So is Los Angeles,
Yeah, Los Angeles is locked
Southern
down.
California,
Yeah, Southern
and then, like
California.
you said, parts of the Bay Area. Sacramento's not far behind, but there's a lot of things that are happening. But it's just weird, and we do things a certain way. And at first, everyone's like, "Oh, California, a bunch of nuts! You guys are crazy." But then sometimes we do things right, I'm not a huge fan of politics or politicians, but I will say that I think that the leaders of the state, to a certain extent, when it comes to how we're measuring this, going by the ICU beds, made the right decision.
Well, the thing about it too is it's really scary because more and more people that I know are coming in are actually testing positive. Initially when they're talking about all these numbers, I knew no one that tested positive. And now I know quite a few people that have tested positive or they're actually positive now. I'll be honest with you. I At my job, we have to test every other week. And I was really nervous this last time coming up because remember, I wasn't feeling well. I was coughing, I had a headache, and I was like, oh my God, Lord, please don't let me have COVID because that just shuts everything down. And I was really anxious and nervous about our my test. So I got my test back yesterday. They contact us and let us know, and I was negative, and I was like, "Thank you, Jesus," because I was over the weekend. I had went and saw my mom, and we went and saw my father-in-law, and all I could think was, "Oh my God, I'd be the one to give it to him." So I'm just really thankful, but it's really scary because of the people that I know that have had it. Some of them fared okay. Others, there's one of the ladies I work with, her and her husband and her child, they have it, and she's really struggling right now. She's feeling really bad.
Well, it
So,
affects so many people differently. And I actually know some people that have lost family members as a result.
right.
Nothing crazy like, oh, they had cancer and they had COVID. No, they were fine and then ended up coming down with it. And I know some people whose family members are having some lasting effects. Some things are
Mhm.
going on that
Mhm.
it's lingering in ways that they didn't anticipate. And so
Yeah.
there's no blanket statement you can make about this COVID-19 coronavirus, because each and every one of us is being affected differently, that are going through it. And, knock on wood, it's a blessing that I haven't, based on, what I do. We're super cautious in everything that I do, but it's one of those things where you just wonder. It's a numbers game. It's a law
Yeah.
of averages. At some point, you're going to get exposed to somebody that had it
Yeah.
knowingly or unknowingly.
Yeah, and then but the flip side of that too is, you talk about the stay-at-home orders and these businesses that are being affected. My heart goes out to them
Right.
because here they are. They've made some of the businesses okay, so you can't eat inside. So they spent all of this money upping their like renovating their dining out area and putting in, like, right now it's
Tents
hot,
and
and
all that.
tents and yeah, heaters and stuff like that. They spent all this money and then now they're told, oh, by the way, can't even do that now, you can only do takeout. So I'm losing customers because I can't have people sitting down, and now I'm losing even more customers because a lot of people, I don't want to just go pick my food up. I want to go out and
Right.
eat.
And then like
So
like
and
the guy,
sit
there was a guy,
down.
there was a restaurant owner that talked about how, you know, he's thankful that, we're making all these measures to actually protect everyone. He says, but can you give us a little bit of a heads up, because when you're gonna make these changes, because they ended up buying a bunch of produce and food that now with the
Oh,
shutdown that
yep.
came
That's
down,
going
that
to affect
now
their
he's stuck
lost
with it.
money.
He still has to pay his vendors. So I mean, there's no such thing as a right decision that's gonna be right for everyone.
Hmm.
And hopefully we can just be good community members and citizens and support each other.
Wear your mask.
Uh,
Please wear your mask.
So, I know you wanted to mention some of the that was
Oh,
close.
well, yeah, just I want to just say prayers out to a family that lost their she died, Kelly passed away last night. She was a mother of three. She had older children, well, in their 20s, and then she had her miracle baby, little Apollo. He's just over a year old. Her and her husband have been together for about 10 years, but I think they've been married for 4. And she had an onset of sudden breast cancer, and it just ravaged through her, spread everywhere, it went through her brain, her bones, and she was holding on, and but she eventually she passed away last night. So I just want to just have everyone pray for her family, because that's a tragic loss.
It is.
She's a very beautiful person, very beautiful person.
So we can't say enough that nobody's guaranteed the next day. No one is guaranteed anything whatsoever. And so, always, hold on to that person next to you, your loved one, your spouse, and just know that, make the most of the moments that you have on a
Mhm.
daily basis, because you just never know. And, it's, I don't want it to be a somber mood, but I do want it to actually, I want everybody to really take that and grasp it and know that the way that we coach and the way that we work with individuals through our podcast and our coaching and all of that, it's unique to each individual that we encounter. And the way that we do something, the advice that we give, and the things that we talk about, there may be different topics that other people are going through, or there might be something that you might have already been through, or know somebody that's going through it, or what have you. But the way we deal with each of those is very different.
Mhm. That's true.
And just like, okay, we were talking about COVID, and the way that California and certain leaders are dealing with the disease state is different from, let's say, Utah.
Texas or Utah,
Exactly.
Montana, whatever.
New York or whomever. So everybody's different. Doesn't make anybody any more right. They're trying to make the best decisions possible. And the reason why I say all of that is because a thought occurred to me that um, I was talking to some other individuals, and we were talking about how, there was a saying by Thomas, I think it was Thomas Edison, that said that genius is 1% perspiration and 99% inspiration. And so meaning that there's so much more that goes into it. It's not about the work so much as it is the thought process, right? And did I get that right? Was it
I don't know.
1%
Never
inspiration,
heard the saying.
99% perspiration? I think that's what it was. Oh man, now I can't remember straight.
Lord
But
today.
we started talking about genius, right? And the genius of Thomas Edison, and how when he was doing what he was doing, trying to invent the light bulb. And we're not going to go into the history of the light bulb and how he stole it from McCoy. But anyway, we're not going to go into that. But what we will talk about is when you talk about geniuses, you look at Thomas Edison, you look at Albert Einstein, you look at even, like Gerald Ford. You talk about these individuals that have created some of these inventors that are considered geniuses of their time when they create things. But when they were going through it, nobody thought they were a genius.
Mhm. Yeah, people never see the idea until it's all laid out. I can tell you, oh, I have this great idea. I think we should, or do this, or I want to do blah, blah, blah. And you're like, what are you talking about? And even while I'm in the process, say, okay, you'll just see it when I get done. But while I'm in the building stages, you're just like, what is she doing? That doesn't make any sense. And until something may click when I'm in like the last stages of it, you're like, oh, I got it. That's great. That's so smart. Now you've changed your mind about what my thought
Right.
process is, my mental status.
Oh,
I should
because
say.
now people are starting to
Get
gain things from it.
recognition.
Right, exactly. So I mean, think about it. Like, look at what's his name, Bill
Noah.
Gates.
No,
No, you look at Bill. Who'd you say?
I said Noah.
No. Oh, okay. Well, we'll start there. You look at Noah. Noah's building this boat. And they're like, this fool, he out
What is
here.
he doing? Yeah.
It's 110 degrees outside, and this fool's knowing there ain't no water nowhere near us.
We've never seen rain.
Never seen rain, none of that. And wait, animals.
Yeah, why are you bringing all the animals?
Right, you tripping, dude. And then all of a sudden, he was a genius, though, when the water came.
Mhm.
When the flood came, he was a genius. But then you look at somebody like Bill Gates.
Mhm.
So, bro, you're going to drop out of school to go work in your buddy's garage and come up with something that nobody's ever done before? Okay, you guys been smoking a little too much. And he revolutionized the world.
Yeah.
When it
It's
came
true.
to computers, of course, Microsoft. You look at all these, you look at the guys of today, like Elon Musk, when he was going to take on the
Oh,
car
Tesla.
industry.
Mhm.
You look at Tesla and what he's doing with batteries. And now he's got SpaceX that's out there, carrying payloads up into space, and they're going to do passenger stuff. You look at all these different icons within industry right now. The guy that owns Jeff Bezos. You look at Amazon. Amazon was nothing more than another way to sell books. and they thought he was nuts because how can you take on somebody like Barnes and Noble or all these different bookstores that are out there? And it expanded. It didn't just take over; it became so much more.
Mhm.
Now nobody like my house could not have survived COVID-19 without Amazon. Every time I came home, there was a new package. It was no longer shopping. It
Nice.
became like a game show. These guys,
Whatever. It wasn't that
what
bad.
did you win today? It's like, Don Parlo, let me take you to my porch and show you what you've won.
I was about to say I gotta look outside to see if there's anything
See,
out
see,
there.
there you go.
Whatever.
But seriously, look at Netflix. Netflix, really? Blockbuster? You're gonna take on Blockbuster?
I remember when Netflix first came out, you get the DVDs. I mean, they in the mail, and then you
I thought
mail
it
them
was
back.
stupid.
And yeah, you didn't like that. I loved it because I was like, "Ooh, I could keep this for however long I want to keep it, and however many movies. I think I could get like 5 DVDs at one time, and I'd watch them, and then I'd send them back. And then Lovey was like, "That's just a waste of money." Blah blah blah.
Do you remember we got into I won't call it an argument, but we had
It
a
was an
spirited
argument.
no, wait, we had a spirited debate because I thought that Redbox was the way to go. And I was like, this is it. This is the future. I'm like, Redbox, this is gonna be
Well, I mean, it still is if you
it's
think
out
about
there.
it,
But I was like, but you
because
wanted to
Redbox
mail it.
even
I'm like, why would I
streams.
wait for something in the mail? Well, I could just go up there and get it
Go
right
get
out the
it.
machine. And but it was so funny. And then here we are. So Netflix just took over, just completely
Yeah,
reinvented
Netflix is the
that
bomb.
entire space with convenience. But the reason why I say all of these different things, that's all business. But and everybody thought that whoever started it, like whether it was, I think it's Bill Hastings, I know his last name's Hastings, for Netflix and all the people that we talked about. You look at all these individuals, or you look at the lady that started Spanx. You know, they thought, oh, really, you have no background whatsoever when it comes to fashion design or clothing or whatever, and yet she created these Spanx and created a niche, created an industry.
Hmm.
So you have all these different individuals, but everybody thought they were nuts. You're spending your life savings on this, or you're borrowing money, you're running up your credit cards, you're walking away from your career, you're doing all these different things. And it made no sense because from everybody on the outside looking in, they were just crazy, which is fine because we're married into crazy. But they honestly thought they were crazy. And it goes to show that whether we're talking about Thomas Edison or Noah or what have you, the genius was in their belief in what they were doing. And their genius was maybe not so much in the idea of what they were doing, but their commitment level to what they were doing.
Okay.
I think there's just as much genius in the commitment as much as there is in the idea itself. Because I think there's a lot of genius ideas that are out there. But then when people start chiming in, like, okay, you're crazy. Somebody's like, oh, wait, I am? Maybe they're right. And then they walk away. How many innovations are left on the drawing board because they listen to someone else? How many relationships didn't go the distance because they let somebody else
Dictate for them.
dictate for them and because people didn't see the genius in their love or genius. Wasn't there a song called Genius of Love?
By the Tom Tom Club.
Sing a bar.
Mm-mm.
Sing a bar. Because if you don't, I will.
I'll shut your mic off.
No, but think about this. The genius of love, the genius of your marriage is in that if you believe in each other, you have a high level of commitment. And again, the premise is always based on barring abuse. We all have challenges. We all have ups and downs in our relationships. There's some things on some days that I can't take it no more. But then there's the next day, like I was tripping.
I was tripping.
So, I mean, you have to get through those, but it's the genius in believing and committing to your relationship. And no matter what other people are saying, with good intention, with a lot of love, people are saying things to you because they love you.
Well, okay, we could say that, but sometimes
There's
people
some
are not
jealousy.
saying things because they love you. Sometimes they're saying things because they think they know best. They think you don't know what you're saying, or they think that, or what you're doing, they think you're dumb. They could think a whole bunch of things. Like you said, there could be some jealousy, there could be some hating going on. You know, people will, well, I'll just talk about us. We've gotten, why y'all do that, or why this, or whatever in our relationship as pertaining how we interact with each other. Lovey's been side-eyed by some members of my family because he doesn't act the way that they think he should act. His love is genius because he caters to me. My love is genius because I cater to him. And we don't let the outside influences or the outside forces or naysayers predict to us how we do our marriage. It works for me, it works for him. I'm not saying that we're always running around on roses, every day, but 8 of those 10 days, I'll say that's exactly what we're doing. And whatever our differences are, we make sure that we deal with them. We don't rely on what other people, how, oh, well, they did it this way, so this is how we're going to do
This
it.
is the gospel according to marriage, and this is how we're going to do it. And if I can offer a correction, sometimes it might be 6 out of 10 days. It might be 7 out of 10.
See, I have 8.
I don't know that it's always 8. There was
For
a
me, it's
period.
8.
So we're coming up on 24 years of marriage.
In
Next
3
month.
weeks.
Ooh.
You better change them days from
I need
6
to-
to
I need
at
to-
least 8.
I need to get a gift. Uh-oh. So
I got a list. No.
all right, I know you do. No, but it's funny but there were like 3 years, 2, 3 years that were not cool.
Okay. I'd say about 4, to be honest.
Yeah, and there was times, but we made it through. And again, I'm not saying we're geniuses because we did that, but because trust me, if she could have, she would have followed through and divorced me and went on her merry way.
Well, don't say if I could have, because it's not like you held a gun to my head and made me stay. So,
Only because we live in California.
because you didn't want me to get half.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I was making more than you back then, so
True that.
you might have came out a little bit better. Now you
Substantially
can't get
more.
rid of me.
But
I ain't going nowhere.
no, but the genius was in that we listened to the Spirit.
I feel like we listened to the Spirit, but we did our own thing. So we've talked about before where the examples that we saw in regards to marriage. My mom has been married twice. Your mom was married three times.
Mhm.
My dad was married 3 times. Your dad was married 4 times. So initially, we did say we will not, divorce is not on the table. What did we say? Murder before divorce or something like
I don't
that.
know.
Something along
I don't
those
remember that
lines.
phrase.
We did say something like that. But
I said what we said till death do we part. So somebody's got to die to get out of this.
right. And so and that was really how that was my mindset going into it. But then when I don't want to say just the trials and tribulations came, because that's always going to come. There's always going to be some trial, there's going to be some type of tribulation. But I felt like at that moment, the consequences of and the blowback, what is that, collateral damage, was too much. And so I'm like, is this really worth it? And I bypassed that whole till death do we part, because my mind went to, well, if you loved me, you would have done X, Y, and Z. Now that's based on, I feel like, maybe something that I saw. Oh, if he loved you, or someone said he loved you, he wouldn't act like that. If he loved you, he would protect you. If he loved you, and not saying that
Right.
someone did say that to me, but of course that is always the thought process. If you love someone, you do whatever it is that you can to make sure that they're okay. And I didn't feel like that was happening. So I was like, no, I can't do it. But we, like you said, we persevered. We dealt with the issues. And it took a while for us to get back on cloud 9, I'll say. I never thought that our relationship would go to sink that low, because I was on cloud 9. Like I said, day 8 came and I was like, midnight, we was walking out from my friend's house. And I was like to myself, yep, this is the guy. I'm ready to go get my dress. I was ready to get married right then. If he said, let's go, I would have went. And I never would, at that moment, I never would have thought that my feelings or my emotions would sink to such lows that I was like, I gotta go. I can't do this anymore, So the genius is that I think I was able to, once I started logically thinking. I was able to get out of my emotion so much and start really thinking logically. And maybe that's where compassion, the crazy concept came up, even though we didn't know at the time it was a crazy concept. I had to see you and understand your position with compassion, still being real, but we learned accountability. And then we became zealous for each other, and I learned how to yield. So that was the genius for me in continuing on with, in our relationship and stuff. Because going back to what I said earlier, there were people in my family that were like, why does he act like that? And that's not a bad thing, but Lovey is when Lovey loves you, he loves you. And he wasn't about bravado. Even when I said I want out, he could have came at me foul. He could have been about bravado and been like, well, some choice cuss words or whatever it was, and we'll forget you, blah blah blah, whatever. Then you go, and since you want to be all whatever, you go and you do you. He did not do any of that. His genius was, I'm staying here until I know that my family is taken care of. And if you want a divorce after you get a job, then okay, that's fine. I never experienced that before, because like I said, the people that I knew, they would have been calling me out my name and stuff like that. So when that whole situation came about, a lot of people were like, "Oh shoot, man, he's soft because he's I wouldn't be putting up with that. I wouldn't this or I wouldn't that." And it's like, no, the tough they stay. When someone you think someone is soft, just like no, they know how to endure. And as long as they're happy at that time, of course, we weren't happy, but we overcame that, and that made us a better couple. You know what I'm saying? I know you were there, but it made us a better couple. It made us a better couple. It made us stronger, and so now here we are, and we're being able to share our genius and how we were able to overcome.
Amen. I agree with everything you said. And it's funny because on my side, it was similar. I had a couple of friends and some family that was like, look, if that's the way it's going to be, look, but there, it's funny. It depends. Advice comes from the vantage point of where other people see things.
Mm-hmm.
So I had people that were multi-divorced
Mm-hmm.
that were like, you know what, just bounce. There's plenty of fish in the sea.
Mm-hmm.
You can find someone else. And look, when you try and actually follow the common path, if you will, there's no genius in the common path, because the herd all runs together, and the same herd will run off a cliff. Genius is in the individual that's going in the opposite direction of where the crowd is going.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that so many of you that are listening right now, what?
They don't crowdfund.
The genius of all of you that are listening right now is, well, first off, your genius is for choosing our
For
podcast.
choosing Married into Crazy.
No, but in all actuality, your genius is in you're seeking tools and resources to better your relationship, to better your marriage, to prepare yourself to have that crazy relationship like Snooks was talking about. Being able to put yourself in a position where you can be compassionate and try to understand where your loved one is coming from. And keeping it real. Look, keeping it real doesn't mean that you got to be all lovey-dovey and no, you can be keeping it real and pissed off.
Yeah, but it doesn't. Also, keeping it real is not a license to hurt others either.
Not hurt, but doesn't mean you can't be angry.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Right. So we're not saying that everything's all Pollyannish and we're looking at everything through rose-colored glasses, all of that. But it gives you an opportunity to be accountable, though, to each other and to the sanctity of the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the zealousness is then once you actually get to that point where then you can be accountable to each other and you discover that, you know what, we can do this, then you get excited and you approach your relationship with a ton of enthusiasm, excitement, with zeal. And then you find ways to where it's like, okay, well, I'm excited about this. And then I can tell you right now that there were things that Snooks then and today, and I'll tell you tomorrow, that she's not excited about. But she yields because she knows that, okay, there's a part of this that I'm not all in, but I'm all in because of him, even though I'm not excited about it. There's a yield there. And there's times where I do the exact same thing, where regardless of what the situation may be, if I know that it's the betterment of our relationship and it's something that you're 100% committed to, that I'm lukewarm on, damn the lukewarm, I'm going to go with you on it
Right.
because it's going to make you happy and it's going to enrich our relationship overall. I may not be all, about it right in that moment, but I'm about it for the long haul, for the next 24 years of our marriage.
Mhm.
And I know that's an investment in that respect. So these are the things that I think that's where genius lies, because who determines that you're a genius?
Um, Other people that give you that brand.
Other people, history.
Well, yeah.
History brands who's a genius and who isn't. History always has a way of pointing out, and then it's not 100% correct all the time, but it's one of those things where, because it depends on perspective,
I was
who's
about to say,
writing
well,
it.
it depends on. I think that genius, um, like you said, depends on perspective, but it depends on how the masses accept it too. So we said Thomas Edison, had no one liked this light bulb idea, they would have been like, that man was crazy. Or Alexander Graham Bell with the whole,
Right.
any of the inventors, you know what I'm saying? So um when the masses see success, that's when it's, oh, they're onto something.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny. I posted something earlier today with the group that I belong to, Extreme Execution Coaches, and there's a group of them that I posted. This thing was on Twitter. Mark Cuban, another billionaire, another genius, to a certain extent. But Mark Cuban had posted this thing, and I can't think of the inventor's name, but it was the guy that had actually come up with the radio. And it had this clip of parents going, "What are we going to do with this boy? He sits there playing with this thing all day long." And then he asked his dad to come over and listen to this. And his dad was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this is amazing." And he was listening to music for the first time over the air in these headphones. But up until then, well, seconds, within a matter of seconds, the kid went from somebody that's wasting his time. We don't know what we're going to do with him. What's he going to amount to, oh my God, our son's a genius.
Right. He's not tinkering anymore. He's actually developed something and
Exactly.
invented something.
And so there's a fine line between being a fool and being a genius. And I think there's a fine line in each of our relationships where it goes from, what, you're wasting your time, to, what, I can't believe you stuck it out. How many of us know people that have been in a relationship for a very long time, and you've seen the ups and the downs and the things that they've gone through, and you're like, oh, I can't believe they're still together, but man, they are an amazing couple.
Yeah.
And then there's people that you think should have stuck it out because they were made for each other. And we know a couple of people that broke it down like, we can't be together no more. That's it. We're done. And they quit. But then they went their separate ways and they came back to each other. We know a couple that got divorced and then went their separate ways, realized that they were better together, came back together. And now the relationship they have is amazing. Complete 180 from what it was the first time around. They remarried and they're extremely happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's funny because it changed each of them individually.
I was about to say, but then you realize at that point, one conversation that we had too, they're like, we changed, we grew, we developed.
We know a couple of people. We had an interview with the Kinseys. The Kinseys was an interview.
Oh, yeah.
They talked about the exact same thing. They talked about redemption. So there is genius in your relationship. There's genius in your marriage. And what you're going to find is that those marriages, those relationships that endure are those that find a level of genius in the respect that they did what was right for them.
Okay, so I'm going to challenge you on that because I know people that have endured and they're together, but there may be genius in staying together, but there's no love. You will have couples that they've survived, but their longevity is not based on the love that they have for each other. It's based on the inconvenience or the convenience of them just being there. That saying is cheaper to keep her, but it's just is easier to just stay and deal with whatever so that you don't have to.
Well, there's that thin line between folly and genius. So I know somebody that, he and his wife are still together for a number of years. Our relationship pales in comparison in a number of years, but they're just doing it for tax purposes.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't consider that a genius relationship.
Well, okay, well, I don't need, I mean, it's genius because they're able to benefit some kind of way out of it, apparently. But I mean, when I'm talking about heart matters, then,
Well, and again, we said barring abuse and all of that, but also it's got to be one of those things where when history judges, when history takes a look at the relationship, the genius is determined in that they were loving and they modeled a relationship that their children, if they have children, were able to actually model and then continue that legacy of love.
Mhm.
And there are other couples that are able to look at them and be like, yeah, you know what, I want to model my, like we did with um, Uncle Johnny and Aunt Nisi, how we actually looked at them and said, that's the kind of relationship we want. And even though we faltered at one point, we're like, nope, this ain't us. That was still our North Star for us to be able to come back to.
Mhm.
There's genius in that relationship. Because,
And sorry, and it's funny too when you say that, when you say about the genius of love, and when, like I said, others will be able to see it. So I know, I feel like I've told the story before, but when I first met them, there was something about them. I had not even known them. We went to go pick up Kaylin, and I was not even there for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. And I'm sitting down on the couch and I'm just looking at them, and I was like, "That's gonna be me and Lovey," and because their aura, I felt it. I was like, "Wow, this is what I'm talking about. This is when I say I want to be in love. I want to be in love like this because they were I felt they were a tangible um evidence of what my imagination thought of love. You know what I mean?
right.
I had never seen it before because people used to say I was crazy because I know what I wanted. I was like, I want what I want, and I'm not going to settle for anything else. I know what I want. Oh, well, I don't know why, because ain't nobody gonna do that. And girl, don't no man act like, and I don't know why you tripping, because but I know what I want. And even in my spirit in previous relationships, as much as I thought I was in love or whatever, my spirit was not quieted. My spirit was like, this ain't it. This is not what we said we wanted. This is you settling. And so I was like, yeah, I just can't. And so when we met, like I said, day 8 came, my spirit was at ease. This is him. I was like, okay, I'm ready to get my dress. So a month later, when I met them, the genius, I recognized it, their love. I was like, yep, that's it right there.
That's a good point. I think genius gives off energy.
Yeah.
I think genius does. So when you think about these inventors, like the examples that we were using earlier, so the was it Thomas Ford? Is it Thomas Ford? Henry Ford.
It's like
I'm like,
Thomas.
where'd Thomas Ford come from? Tom Ford? Is that a brand? Anyway, so
oh no, never mind.
so but all these geniuses that were out there, they give off a certain energy that attracts people to them, right? And I think that when you're talking about genius of marriage, genius of love, that there's an energy that when it's true genius, when it's something that you're really working on, and you know that, okay, this is us. It's like you're generating this light that people will be drawn to.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
And don't get it wrong, because light does attract moths,
yeah,
and mosquitoes
yeah.
and a variety of things as well. So you're going to get some of those things as well. But it's one of those things that you just have to know that you have to stay committed, stay the course, barring abuse, all those things that we always talk about, and know that there's genius in your relationship.
Yeah.
It's not about just sticking it out. It's investing the time, the resources, surrounding yourself with the right people, the right books, the right other individuals. We talk about developing an iron tribe, building an iron tribe around you, which, by the way, you can go to our website, marriedintocrazy.com, and actually get you some iron tribe gear. The gear has arrived. So rather than carrying all the inventory ourselves, you can go there and go to our premium store on the website and be able to get you either some of the platinum ring, gold ring, or iron tribe gear.
Mm-hmm.
And as a matter of fact, what we're going to do, not on that particular site, but on our regular store, for those individuals that, I know this is a total sidebar, but for those individuals that
like, okay,
want to get a Married Into Crazy podcast t-shirt so you can show the world that you are married into crazy, right now, the t-shirts on our website for Married Into Crazy, it's our store that has the t-shirts and as well as the iCan cans. We're going to make both of them, or actually not them, just the t-shirt available for an additional 10% off. Right now it's 20% off, but we're going to do an additional 10% for all of our listeners and the people that are in our Iron Tribe. So if you go to, you can do it, you can get the code one of two ways. Well, I guess I'm going to say the code, huh? So the code is crazy. So send us an email at coaching@marriedintocrazy.com. And on the subject line, write the word crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And in the body of the email, just write t-shirt. And what we'll do is we'll send you back.
A
I just messed it
t-shirt.
up. I was going to, no, not the t-shirt.
Oh, a
We're
code.
going to send back the code.
Oh,
So it's not going to be
no.
crazy. Just say
No, I
crazy.
was about to say,
I'm
I
going to come
thought
up with
that
a
was
different code.
I really thought
I
we
just
had a
messed that
code.
up. Yeah. So there's a code that if you want to get the code for the additional 10% off, write crazy on the line. That's all you got to do. Just write crazy.
And then send the email. We will send the code back to
We'll send the
you
code back to you.
to the same email that you just emailed us from.
Amen. It was her idea, and I just messed it all up.
That's it's okay. I'm
The other
used
thing
to
you can
it.
do is actually call us, or not call us, text us.
To our
So-
text community, 918-351-2799. And you can just text
crazy.
crazy, and we will respond in kind with the code for the discount.
Yep. See, leave it to her. Leave it to her. See, the genius in my relationship
It's
is when I know that I
allowing
messed it
me-
up,
Mhm.
I let her take over,
Or you blame me.
whichever the situation
Whichever it
calls for.
calls for.
Amen. Hey, but look, I hope you enjoyed this, but I just felt like there's encouragement in these words. You are a genius. You're in a relationship, and if you're working on it, and again, you're both putting in the work, history will judge you as being a genius,
Or
provided it's giving off the right energy.
sorry, and if you feel like in your relationship you're trying to discover what your genius is, keep working at it, but don't work you work and she work. You got to work at it together, because that's going to determine what your genius is together.
So true. And if you're trying to figure out what areas you need to work on, like, okay, well, I want to be more compassionate. I want to be, if you're saying I'm compassionate, but he's not very real or what have you, you can go to, again, we have a quick webinar that's free on our website, marriedintocrazy.com. Right in the front, we talk about a 5-star wedding, right? 5-star rated wedding that you can, or marriage that you can create. My mind is not working tonight. And by watching the little webinar and then responding to that, there's a little thing you can click on. It says you can get a free tool. It's a self-audit tool, and it's a very free thing. And we'll send it to you automatically. You just go ahead and register. It's free, and we'll ship that off to you automatically. You'll get it in your email immediately, and it's a little tool that's going to help you actually take an assessment, not an assessment, but a little checklist, if you will, on areas that may need improvement. You might find that I need improvement in being zealous, but I'm awesome when it comes to being real and being compassionate. So we're trying to give you as much as possible. We're trying to add value in a variety of different ways, and I hope you appreciate that. So just like I hope you appreciate what's about to come up right now, which is going to be 2 for the road.
And our I can
Dun, dun, dun.
dun, dun,
Yep, it's on the website,
which is let's say, which is also
in the store. So we have 2 stores listed on the website. There's the local store, so to speak,
Sorry.
and then you also have the premium store. The I Can and the Married into Crazy t-shirt is on the local store, and then all the other additional new gear is on our premium store. So what does your affirmation say?
I can leave a note saying I love you.
Okay, I expect to see that. Mine says, I can give my partner more attention. I don't know that she necessarily wants the attention,
Depends.
but she's going to get more of it. Hey, we want to thank each and every one of you for listening to the podcast and joining us on this journey. We're nothing without you when it comes to sharing.
Mhm.
And we ask that you really reach out, tell your friends about the podcast so we can include them in the conversation, because the more robust the conversation is, the more people, the more voices, the more ideas, the more situations that we actually come across, I think the better off we all are, because we learn from each other. That's what building an Iron Tribe is all about. So as we go into the closure, as we always do,
We say
that there's going to be 8 minutes and 46 seconds of silence, because she was
okay.
she was trying to go straight to the close. But there's going to be 8 minutes and 46 seconds
Sorry.
of silence so we can reflect on what it means
for social justice.
social justice, to be a better citizen, to be a better member of your community and your neighborhood. That we know why it's 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And what we want to do is raise awareness and get you to really just take an opportunity to just reflect and meditate on how you can be a better person to those people around you, whether it's your family. A lot of things are going to start going through as we go back into stay at home mode. There's going to be some fatigue that goes along with that. Tempers may flare, anxiety may increase, depression may increase, like we talked about last week on the podcast. So be aware of it and think about how you can help yourself, your family, your neighbors, all be better citizens and help each other through these trying times.
Mhm.
So with that said, until the next time,
Be blessed.
bye-bye.